welcome to the Partially Cooked podcast, Sean. Really appreciate you taking some time to zoom in with us today.
Welcome.
Of course you guys heard me. Yeah. I was just telling Seth, my hair's a little crazy. I just got through with a workout, so.
It's all good, man. I mean, we're like church. We want you to come as you are, okay?
That's right. That's what I was thinking. So I had to give a true representation. This is what I do typically at 5:30 on Mondays. So.
Yeah.
Very good.
Sean, how long have you been doing stand-up?
Let's see, 3 years now, all in Nashville. I did like one or two open mics in college in Atlanta. I went to college in Auburn, Alabama, which was about, an hour and a half from Atlanta. So that was probably the first time I did it, but it's really been 3 years in Nashville. So I started in 2022.
Nice. And in the past 3 years that you've been doing stand-up, what is the strangest gig you've ever gotten so far?
Golly, that's a good question. Let's see. I've done, they do different shows in, exotic locations. I've done like barber shops a few times.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a show inside of a barber shop. There was a show one time that was in a strip club that I had a guest spot on, which was wild. And then, I would say those are the craziest.
That's hard to compete with, strippers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were there too.
Was it a good strip club? I mean, they had to do a stand-up show to get audience there. So.
Yeah. It was. What was the name? It was one of the big ones in Nashville. I forget what the name. It wasn't not the Larry Flint one, but I forget what the name of it was. I'd have to look it up. But
yeah. So when you're doing a show at a strip club, like you said, the strippers were there. Were they doing dances between sets? Like
they had beforehand, but they didn't during the actual show. They just were.
Were they going to go back up after?
Oh yeah, I think they went. I didn't stick around as long as I probably should have, but I think that was the thing. It was like an hour and a half show, and they carried on with the night afterwards.
All right, that's good. I mean, I've done shows where there was like a belly dancer, and then there was supposed to be more stand-up after, and everyone was like, we don't want more stand-up. Can you just bring the belly dancers back on? And we were like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
That does sound.
I'd rather watch a hot lady roll quarters over her belly than listen to live stand-up most of the time. So.
Right, precisely.
So in the past 3 years, you told us about your strange gigs, but what is the worst bomb you've ever had?
Ooh. That's another great question. So many to choose from. Let's see. I had one. This was probably like, maybe 6 months into comedy. This wasn't even an actual show. This was at an open mic, but it was an open mic here in Nashville that was, 40, 50 people at it. One of the bigger ones that we have, probably the biggest one. And there was, at one point, I just completely like spaced out. Like it was one of the only times I think I've ever just lost my train of thought. And I completely just like the last 30 seconds of my set, I was just struggling to come up with the words to a joke. And I just had nothing. Dude. And then I left, and it was so soul. I was just white knuckling the fucking steering wheel on the way home. Like, how did I let that happen? But
that's happened to me before. I was doing a firefighter benefit at the Looney Bin here in Little Rock, and I was supposed to do a 20-minute set. And about 15 minutes into my set, not only did I forget every word I've ever written, I also forgot every word I've ever spoken. Like I couldn't speak. I just forgot how to speak in my whole
stroke.
Yeah, it's like a stroke. That's really what it's like, because it's just your brain. You're like, please fire, please do something, and it just does nothing.
I can't imagine, because I can always talk. I am always talking.
I don't know why that happens. Like I think I've done stand-up for 8 years, and I think that's happened to me twice.
Were you drinking at all?
No. I think weed might have been involved in mine. I think that was probably part of it. But yeah, it was very similar to what you just described. It was like I'm up there, and then all of a sudden I'm just in my head and I have no idea what to say out.
Yep.
And everyone's looking at me, and I think that was a great moment for me. Like, because I think, up until that point, I had just put so much pressure on myself every time I went on stage because I just had such a huge fear of bombing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you bomb that bad, it's good because afterwards, you can be like, well, that was as worse as it gets. And that wasn't even that bad. And I don't know, I think that freed me up a little bit to be like, it's okay. That's going to happen sometimes. And I think part of the reason I was not doing as well is because I was more in my head in those first, few months of doing stand-up. So. Oh
yeah, dude. When you have a really tough bomb, like you always get better after it, especially if it's your first big bomb, because then, like you said, like, it's not going to get worse than this probably. And I'm okay. It sucked during the moment, but like, I'm fine. And, you just get back up there and try again.
Yep. And you try to prevent all of the things that happened before and during your set that led you to that moment.
Right.
So.
Yes, you learn.
Yeah.
So this is kind of our last question relating to stand-up. What is, or who is the biggest influence on you as a comic?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I can give you like my two favorites just of all time, biggest influences, I guess, because I just watched them the most growing up, were Louis C.K. Obviously, everyone loves Louis, and then Daniel Tosh. I would say those were the two guys that like I look at, and anything and everything they say, I find absolutely hysterical. So.
That's a good answer.
Those are good. I don't think we've had Tosh yet.
Maybe we've had a comic say Tosh once. I don't remember who it was.
Okay.
I mean, it's just one of those things where I did grow up as one of his main demographic on the Tosh.0 show was like sixth graders getting back from school or whatever, and I was one of those. But I mean, that show was amazing, and then his stand-up is just absolutely phenomenal. I love everything he stands for. And he just has that, like, he's so funny because he can be such a sarcastic asshole, but never alienating in a way. And like everyone always feels welcome, even though he can be kind of, such, like so sarcastic. And so,
yes.
I don't know, I've always just admired that about him. And then Louis just does every type of comedy there is, and he does it better than everybody does it. So,
Yeah, those two specifically are, I think, two of the most accidentally stolen from comics.
You're probably right. Yeah,
like people I've seen that try to frown on a jet ski joke. Money doesn't give you happiness.
Exactly. Yeah,
try to frown on a jet ski. Like I have seen that joke probably 15 different ways.
Yeah.
It's all the same joke.
And that's all Tosh.
It's all Daniel Tosh.
Yeah.
And there's so many times where I'll hear a comic have a joke and I can relate it to a Tosh or a Louis bit, or I'll be, going through my day and something happens to me that reminds me of a great Louis joke, just, they're both just so great. And they, I don't know, they do a great job of just like, distilling everyday experiences, but also having like big observations about like larger things. So.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Sean. These next questions are going to be about your job. Outside of comedy, what do you do that pays the bills, Sean?
So I am in tech sales. It's a remote job. I've done that for about a year. All before that, I was teaching. I was a high school teacher. I did that for 2 years. Then for about 6 months, I did like this online sports writing job, basically for.
Okay.
If you know Jay Cutler, who used to be the quarterback of the Bears, he had like this, what I would describe as a midlife crisis publication that he had that focused on sports and like outdoors. And it was like based here in Nashville. So I worked for that for like 6 months, hated it, went back to teaching for another 2 years. And then this past year, in 2024, got out of teaching and into sales. So I basically call school districts across my territories, which I'm like assigned Oklahoma, Missouri, and Massachusetts, and I just call them and basically try to sell them software that they don't need.
Yeah. That's a weird, you get Missouri, Oklahoma, and then Massachusetts.
Yeah. And my initial territory, like months ago when I started, was Louisiana, Mississippi, and Oklahoma, which I think they heard my accent. They're like, he can't call anywhere else. But when they moved me to Washington State, and it was tough. I had tough sledding there. And they're like, you know what? Washington State was hard for him. Maybe Massachusetts with that Southern accent will be easier. And there's times where I call up there, they're like, you're not from around here, are you? You know, that's my best Bostonian accent. I can't even fucking do.
Not from Boston. Yeah, that was a great Bill Burr.
There we go. Yeah. But yeah, so that it's an interesting job. You know, I call a lot of the people, they've been working at these districts for a long time or whatever. And sometimes like they'll get married or divorced within the time that, like, you know, they were last updated in our sales system or whatever. So there have been times where I've like called the woman and like said like, hey, is this so-and-so? And she's like, I used to be, or like, you know, things like that. Like, you know, but for the most part, I mean, it's the most boring sales job you can imagine, you know.
How invigorating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. What's the worst job that you've ever been fired from or quit, Sean?
Oh, worst job that I've ever been fired. Let's see. I used to work at Firehouse Subs in high school.
Nice.
That was pretty tough. They trained me to make the sandwiches for like 5 months, and eventually they're like, you're just going to be cashier or dishwasher.
You just couldn't make a sandwich?
Yeah, no, I couldn't, because you know, the Firehouse Subs are all steamed sandwiches. They're all really hot or whatever.
Hell yeah.
And so when you take them out of the steamer, I mean, they're scalding, but you have to drain them over the trash can to like pour the juice out or whatever. And so there were multiple times where I would take it out and be holding the meat over the trash can, and it would be burning my hands so badly that I'd just drop the entire thing in the trash can. And there was one time where I dropped an entire container of brisket. It was like a container this big, this deep, maybe, just all brisket. I just dropped it whenever on the floor, and my boss just looked at me, looks down, and goes, that was $117 right there. And he just kept going about his day. I was like, shit.
Not counting.
Yeah, that one was pretty bad. I mean, they were good people or whatever, but it was also a tiny store, like so tiny, and we had to fit like 6 or 7 people in there. So that was another part that just sucked. Like, I mean, if I did like move like that, I mean, I'd be bumping into somebody. So yeah, that one wasn't great. I worked at a school uniform store in, I guess, a summer in college.
That sounds awful.
That I had to fit. Yeah, I was in the shoe department, so I just had to like grab kids' ankles and like shove a shoe. So yeah, I've had some weird jobs.
I never went anywhere that had a school uniform.
No, I didn't either.
I'm glad about that.
Yeah, it was a weird thing in I'm from Mobile, Alabama. They just, I think every public school, they had to have like, you know, at least like the Oxford shirt and like some sort of khakis or whatever. So,
oh man. I guess that like takes a lot of the guesswork out of what you're going to wear for the week, you know?
It does. Yeah, it does.
That's nice. Okay. So, we've all had weird coworkers, especially if you worked at Firehouse. So what's the weirdest coworker you've ever had to deal with?
Oh man.
Who is?
Golly, let me think. Oh, I could tell you about a boss that I had.
Yeah, tell us.
God, he was I went to Auburn. I worked in like the career center, and this one guy there, he had to be like 450 pounds, and he was this gay black man, or like everyone just assumed that he was gay. But I mean, he was like, he was so wild. He would basically ask us to make a flyer for different events or whatever, and we'd make the flyer and we'd bring it to him. And he would just request us to do things on Microsoft Word or whatever that you just simply could not do. I can't even think of specific examples off the top of my head, but I mean, it was the most wild thing. He would only go up the stairs one time a day. Like if they ever, for any reason, like if he ever had to go out of the building, he would just go home for the day. He was like, "Oh, I'm not making me walk back up the stairs again." Yeah, I mean, he was wild. God, I'm trying to think. I know I have better examples.
No, that's okay. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward question. And this will be the last one about your job. This kind of, I think you kind of answered it, unless you can top the Microsoft Word thing. What do you think is the most ridiculous thing a boss has asked you to do?
Okay, yeah. Oh, well, easy, because I definitely have a joke about this. When I was teaching, I had a principal who was a black guy who would, he came in my room one day. He was like, "Hey, man, you need to correct all these kids for calling each other the N-word." Basically, like the other black kids were calling each other the N-word. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "You need to be the one to tell them not to do that." And I was like, "Why would you do that, dude? Like, what? Why?" I was like, "That's above my pay grade and my melanin grade, dude. Like, that's not my conversation." You know? So yeah. And I have a bit about that, but that one's one that always stuck out to me. And then teaching, I mean, I would have to do crazy, just break up fights all the time. You know, that was almost like a weekly occurrence pretty much at the school that I was at. You know, kids just, you just hear the commotion out in the hallway, and I'd go running out there and I had to, you know, separate kids. It'd be fun. The girl fights were by far the most insane, because there was just such a level of like vitriol. The dude fights, that half the time it was almost just for show. It was like someone was like, you got to beat him up, and they're like, I don't want you guys to think I'm right, you know, hard or whatever, so I'm going to do it. And then it happened, they kind of be over it. But the girl fight, anytime that happened, it was like, I mean, you had to take the jaws of life to pry their hand off their hair. It was wild stuff. So just like, yeah, and being so desensitized to doing that, just like doing that, and then an hour later just forgetting that you did that, you know, that you just like broke up a fight. Just that was something that always stood out to me. Like the first few weeks of teaching, first few months, anything that happened, I was going home telling people like, this happened today, this happened. And then after like a few years, you'll have the wildest day and it just not even register. Yeah. I've heard that, you know, people that are nurses, I've heard that, or, you know, in the medical field, I mean, they'll see the most horrific shit. And a month in, that would have, you know, given them nightmares. And a few years in, they just eat a sandwich right afterwards, and that's nothing. You know,
all right. Sean, how old are you?
I'm 27.
27. Okay. What do you think the dumbest thing you've done in your 20s so far has been?
God, that's a good question. Man, I have not wrapped up plenty of times when I probably should have.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've all been there.
That's a dangerous game.
It can be, sure. Yeah. God, the dumbest thing. I mean, I've done so much. I mean, I've gotten so drunk and just done dumb things all the time. Like, I've never seriously injured myself, but I'm the type of person that gets drunk and wakes up the next morning with like just the worst bruise or gash on my leg. I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah.
But luckily, I mean, through, I'm trying to think. Through my 20s, as much dumb, reckless shit as I've done, I don't think there's nothing coming to mind that's like, because I've never luckily been arrested.
Hasn't happened yet, he says.
Yeah.
You still got 3 years.
Knock on wood. You're right. Yeah. So that's, I mean, I can't. God, I wish I had something that came to me in the moment, but yeah, who knows? Maybe something will happen very soon, and I can follow back up.
Right, for sure. Okay, what do you think the dumbest purchase you've ever made has been?
Ooh. Let's see. I've definitely bought weed a few times from someone that either gave me like the shittiest weed of all time, or I've Venmo'd them and they never showed up. Yeah. I've done that one once or twice. those have been dumb purchases. I honestly, me purchasing sunglasses is always a dumb purchase if I spend more than $10 on the pair of sunglasses, because I mean, it's probably like 8 or 9 sunglasses that I've spent, whatever, $100, $200 on, and I've fucking lost or broken them.
Dude, I'm the same way. I cannot keep up with a pair of sunglasses to save my life.
It's to the point to where, I mean, anytime I buy a pair, I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
They're going to be in some body of water within a month from now. And I recently lost another pair. So, I mean, I would say anytime I buy sunglasses, that's a really dumb purchase.
That's a good answer.
I have this pair that I don't like, and I can't. I've had it for like 2 years.
But that's the thing. Because you don't like them, you'll never lose them. Yeah. You'll never break them. You'll have them forever.
Yep.
Because you don't like them. And you get ones you like, they're gone.
Yeah, precisely.
That's how it happens.
Oh, man. Was that the last age question?
This was.
All right, cool. Okay, so this is probably maybe not our favorite question, but it definitely elicits some of the best responses on the podcast.
All right, cool.
Sean, what is your most bigoted opinion?
Most bigoted opinion.
Yeah.
You guys hear my accent, you might be like, he probably has a few. No.
It's not bad.
Talk to my uncle. He'll spew it out. But no, God. I pride myself on not being that way, but you're right. Everyone does have at least some form of biases. I gotta say, that Family Guy cutaway scene of the Asian woman driving, I mean, I hate to say that that's pretty accurate, but I mean, tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. I've
That's a great answer.
Yeah, I would say that's probably my most bigoted opinion, is that Asian women are not great drivers. And I mean, that's evidenced by pull up like a video of Thailand, Vietnam, wherever. I mean, they are driving. There's just chaos. There's just no laws, no order to it. And I think that carried over across on the boat, so I've
never driven in Asia, but I was on the road in Costa Rica after high school. I was down there for 2 weeks, and every time I got in a vehicle, I thought I was going to die.
Okay,
all the signs, there is no like policing the road. The traffic lights are suggestions. Like, everybody's just trying to push each other off the road and get where they can fit in. And they all grew up driving there, so it's normal for them.
And it's wild because I feel like in that system, there's actually less car accidents than there are here. It's nuts. Like, I've seen videos of those, like, insane traffic, patterns or whatever, and there's no accidents whatsoever. You're like, how is it? There's just people walking, carrying goods on their back, just like through the traffic.
I think when you expect people to like just be the craziest version of themselves, then you can like keep your head on more of a swivel, but like when you're expecting people to follow the rules and they don't, then you're going to get T-boned.
I know. That's when true. We were there, I was on a bus and we took this curve, and I swear the bus came up on 2 wheels. And I was like, we are going to tip this bus over. And then about 3/4 of a mile up the road, there was another bus that had already turned over.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you do see a lot of car crashes in that area.
That's the only one I saw. That was the only car crash I saw, but it was
that's still so wild, though, just to see that, and they just keep going on up the mountain. Or whatever,
everybody just chill. Everybody just driving around them. They're climbing up out of the door of the bus because it's on its side.
I told you to lean.
Lean left. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. All right, Sean. What's a conspiracy theory that you believe?
Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, is it a conspiracy at this point to say that the CIA was in some way involved in the JFK assassination?
No, that just seems like
I don't think that even qualifies as a conspiracy. I'll do you one better than I really, and I hate to say it because it does make me sound a little bit like a kook, but the more I've been researching and looking into, especially in the past few years with the congressional hearings about UFOs, or they call them UAPs nowadays. That shit is wild. It's real, because it's one of those things. Before, like a few years ago, when someone would bring up UFOs to me, the thing I would always be is like, all right, if they were real and these military personnel knew about them and were interacting with them, don't you think that over the past few decades, since like the 40s or whatever, multiple of these high-ranking people would have came out and said something about it? And then you do a little bit of digging and you're like, oh, wait, like literally hundreds of
yeah.
It's like, oh, wait, they have done that. And that's something that, I mean, I can go down rabbit holes with the UFO UAP thing. But that would be definitely a conspiracy theory that
we're all on board there. We're all on the same UAP.
Like, we're just speaking. We're not even talking about conspiracy theories right now. We're just speaking the same language.
Right. All right. So, are you far enough down that rabbit hole to like? Are you on like? Okay, there's multiple species where there's like reptilians and there's the mantis and the grays and
I've heard about the grays, the whites.
Yep.
The
Nords.
Yes, you heard about and then there's the reptilian kinds or whatever, and of course, like when you say any of this shit, I mean it sounds so fucking wild, but I mean there are plenty of people that have literally been given the highest security clearance you can be given that then come out later and say these things. So it's like, all right, I mean,
all right, so at least some of it might be true.
Yeah, like how more qualified can you get?
Right.
And a lot of these people, it's like proven they worked and they were at the places that they claim to have been stationed at when these things happened. And so many of those things are so well sourced. It's incredible that it's not more of a conversation. But again, I see why it's not a conversation, because it's fucking wild to even think about.
Right. And if you don't have an answer, then how are you going to, like, what is there to talk about if we don't know what they are?
Yeah.
Like,
it's just
exactly. There is a documentary coming out. I think it's going to be called The Age of Disclosure. Or whatever.
I can't wait to see it, dude.
It's coming out at Southwest, I think, in the summer. And I think, because it's got, Marco Rubio is like the Secretary of State at the moment. He's in the documentary, tons of lawmakers, and then other, retired military personnel. So I'm super excited to see that and see if any conversation happens from that. So
that's gonna be good. That's gonna be exciting. Yeah. All right, Sean. So no matter what spectrum of politics you're on, whether you're left or right, what's something that a politician could promise that would make you vote for them?
Ooh. Well, this could give away my political persuasion, although I don't think it should. I think it should be a universal issue. But yeah, I think getting money out of politics. I think that if a president, there's a guy from Harvard, a professor that runs every year, and that's basically, he's like, if I'm elected, I would pass or reform campaign finance and the way that people are elected to federal positions, and then I would resign the presidency. And I think that's like the first step to true democracy, is to, every single one of our politicians is bought and paid for by whatever corporation is big in their state or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, so many other countries have like the democracy dollars, where like every one of their citizens is allotted like $100 per election cycle or whatever, and they just are able to directly donate. And those are the funds that, basically since like whatever it was, a Citizens United, the Supreme Court ruling back in like 2011, that it used to be like corporations could only donate like $3,500. Mm-hmm. That was like the max they could donate to a campaign, and now it's like literally fucking blank check, whatever.
They gave
corporations. Every election is just whoever has the most money almost always going to win,
right?
And that's just not democratic. So for me, it's like that. To me, is like the utmost issue.
It really is.
Should be focused on.
It's the core of all corruption in politics.
Yeah.
When they gave corporations the same rights as citizens, that was the beginning of the end of
exactly
our democracy.
Yeah, exactly. They ruled that money is free speech.
Right. Yes.
And and it's like that's definitely disenfranchising us, the people, because it's supposed to be a lot more direct than a more direct democracy than what we have right now. Because the representatives are supposed to answer to us, and they don't. They answer to whoever is lining their pockets.
Yep.
it's all fucked. So yeah, that would be the one thing. I know that was such a serious answer. I should have been like fucking free weed, you know.
No, that's a great answer.
No, that's a great answer.
Let's fight.
I'll do that one too. Two pronged answer. It's got to do both.
The next question, which you may have answered this, but what is a campaign promise you would make if you ran for office?
Oh yeah, I guess I would promise what I just said, but we'll give a different answer, or a more fun one, because I would do other things like get rid of gerrymandering and those kind of things. But let's see. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on universal health care. I think I'm for it, but yeah, we'll just say that. I'll be like Birdie, just give the people health care.
That's fair.
I mean, I feel like hospitals should be like fire departments.
Yeah, you know.
Absolutely.
Like if you're sick, go to the hospital, get taken care of, and like nobody, when your house burns down and the fire department comes and puts that fire out, they don't give you a bill,
right?
Or they don't be like, oh, we're only putting out rich people's houses,
right?
Like,
no, like I mean, us millennials, we put life savings away. Some of us, a lot of us don't, but like it's all just like it's swept away as soon as you get in a big car accident or you get a cancer diagnosis. Like everything you save for your life is just gone. That's like if Breaking Bad happened in Canada, Walter White would have just gone to the doctor.
Exactly.
Like it would,
there would be no show. He would have just continued being a disappointing high school teacher. That's it.
Oh well, then I would say no health care because I like Breaking Bad. So like, we got to have the Breaking Bads of the world.
True, yeah.
Sorry guys, sorry you got cancer and you got to pay for it, but I like my shows.
Yeah, and that's again like with healthcare. I mean, I guess I'm more moderate on it. I don't know, but because people do need to participate in their health more than they do, but part of that is these big ass like fast food companies are preying on us all the time. So it's all that shit's connected. But yeah, I don't know. I have free weed too. We'll just weed everywhere. What else? What are some other popular fun? Maybe. Oh yeah, I'll do 4-day work week, baby. We don't need to work for 5 days. We 4 days.
Hell yeah.
That's real good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that too. Our last political question. If you could heckle any politician throughout history, who would it be and what would you say?
That's a great question. God.
Thank you so much.
That's a great question. People probably say Hitler a lot, so I'll go Mussolini, and I'll take the angle of like, you're in the Axis, but you're still not even the top dog of like the stat. if you're gonna be evil, at least be the best evil. You know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, at least be the lead. Yeah. Don't be playing second fiddle to a more evil guy.
And he also, Hitler got out of there. He took the coward's way out, but he got out. Mussolini, he couldn't escape his own people. Didn't he get like drugged through the streets and beaten and all that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, I would heckle him for being second tier evil.
Yeah, don't be Red Skull, be Thanos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah, him. I don't know. There's a lot of people throughout history you could heckle. So
we're gonna move on to dating and relationship questions.
All right, let's do it.
Sean, are you currently in a relationship?
I am not. I am single. I have been for a while, for probably about 3 or 4 years, I would say. I've definitely had little flings and whatnot, but I haven't been in a serious relationship for about 3 years yet.
Gotcha. What is the weirdest or most regrettable message you've ever sent to someone that you were trying to pursue?
Oh man, so many. Again, that can be tied in with the drunk thing from earlier. There have been one time I like worked with a girl. And like I asked her out kind of, using like worky language, like, hey, just wanted to circle back and see if you wanted to, and just did not get a response. And that was one where like for the next few days, I was like, "Why the fuck did I say that? That was so fucking lame, dude." Like,
just following up.
That was definitely, and that was a fairly recent one. That was like 7 or 8 months ago, so that wasn't too long ago. I'll say that one. But I mean, dude, that's the good thing about most of my regrettable texts like that. They're all done when I'm pretty drunk, so I don't even think about them the next morning. So that's, you
got to block them out. All right. What's the worst gift you've ever given a significant other?
Ooh. Worst gift. Gonorrhea. No. God. Yeah, I mean, I can't think. My gifts are never bad, but they typically never are as good as what they give me. So I always feel bad.
Yeah.
Like I'll get like a necklace and then they'll have just some elaborate, like just super thoughtful gift that I'm like, well, fuck, yours beat mine.
I feel like, if you gave better gifts, you wouldn't be single. You know what I mean? Like,
that might be it. Maybe I need to change my approach. Yeah. I'm like, here's just a Diet Coke.
It's got your name on it.
Yeah. that could be something that I need to consider. Change my approach with gifts.
Yeah.
That's just I'm just such not like a gift person, which I hate the love language thing, you know. I feel like every guy's is just physical touch, you know.
I mean, blowjobs is pretty high up on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I also like I gifts are. I got to remind myself sometimes that gifts mean a lot to other people, way more than they mean to me, you know? So
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
What is the most awkward rejection you've ever faced?
The one that I mentioned earlier was bad, but I've had plenty of them. Let's see. Most awkward rejection. Give me a sec. I know I'm going to have something come to me here in a sec.
You're fine. Seth, what's your most awkward rejection you've ever faced?
Oh, one time I was at a bar and I decided to this is on me. I thought it was a good pickup line to compare a woman to a porn star. I was like, you look just like Alexis Texas.
And that wasn't received well?
No. And her friends, too. They all hated me, too. They're like, she's fat.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad. I mean, again, like I would have to say maybe something like just a text that was just so, oh, no. Okay, bang, got one. It was, this was so dumb. This was like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Again, I was drunk. It was a friend. It was a girl that I wasn't very interested in, but it was getting close to the end of the night or whatever. And I was like, maybe I should shoot my shot. So I ended up getting her number. And then we got in the Uber together, but she was like, hey, like we lived close by. That's why we got in the Uber together. She kind of made it clear, like, don't necessarily want to come over to your house, you know? So I didn't really like make a move in the Uber. And then got back to my house, and then like 10 minutes later, I just texted her like, "Hey, do you want to come over?" She did not respond, and everyone like the next day, because like I think she told my friends about it, like friend group or whatever.
Yeah.
So they were all like the next day, they're like, "Why didn't you just try to flirt with her in the Uber? Why did you?" Right. Yeah, that was an embarrassing one, but again, I mean, I could. If you gave me like 30 minutes to brainstorm, I mean, I could come up with so many rejection stories.
A whole 5-minute routine on it.
Yeah.
We've all been there, man. All right. Our final relationship question is if any of your exes, like, or let's say every woman you've ever been with, or every person you've ever been with, maybe not just women, but
forward thinking.
I mean, it is, but I appreciate you thinking that I might be bisexual.
No judgment here. But everybody you've ever been with, if they got in a room together and came up with what your red flags are, what would they say?
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
Shitty gifts.
They would say probably not as committal as they want me to be because he's pursuing a comedy career on the side. That could be one complaint that I've heard before. They might say that sometimes I can not be oblivious, but be a little too lost in my own world or in my own head or thoughts to realize what's going on with them as readily as they want me to. Yeah. Oh my God. They would have so much fun talking. There was a group of my exes all together.
Self-centered. It sounds like they're saying.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a narcissistic asshole. That's what they're like. Yeah, I've heard not emotionally available, which I push back on that one.
That's self-centered with extra words, I think.
Yeah,
like,
true. Really.
They're just.
So yeah, I think they would all agree. They're like, this guy's a fucking narcissistic asshole that only cares about himself. That's what they would say.
Yeah. Well, hey, you just keep doing.
But no, those are just the complaints I've heard in the past. So.
That's fun. All right. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk about your family here. Your relatives and family. What do you think is the most embarrassing thing your parents have ever caught you doing besides stand-up?
I mean, yeah, my parents definitely called me jerking off when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Through the search history mainly.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I looked up, it was like one of the first things I ever looked up. I was like, just naked girls or something.
Nice.
And like boobs.
Yeah.
Let's see. So most embarrassing thing they ever caught me doing.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
The search history.
We'll go with jerking off.
I feel like Google AI should if you search naked ladies or boobs, then they should be like, get off of here, kid.
Right.
Yeah. They should be able to tell. It's like this is
your parents.
This is someone that's 12.
Right.
All right. What story have you heard from a relative over and over again? From a dad or a grandpa? Is there any of those tall tales from the family?
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's so many. My grandma, she used to tell us all the time that her great grandparents came down to Mobile in the 1850s on a covered wagon from a town called Cuba, Missouri. So, and she would say that all the time, especially as her dementia got worse, and she would say that 3 times in one sitting. You're like, yeah, you told me that. That's like a family lore story that she would always tell. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but there were always
Cuba,
things like that.
Missouri, like the island Cuba.
No. So yeah, I guess that's what it was named after, but it was a town in Missouri called Cuba, Missouri. Huh. Let me see it. Let me pull up the tab here and see if it even exists.
She was just.
Maybe she was just offered. Oh no, there's a city in Missouri called Cuba. It's got 3,000 people, about 3,500 people. Wow. Okay, my grandma was not as senile as we might have believed she was.
Some relatives there in Cuba.
That's a cool story. But usually people, when they especially in America, they're heading west. Right. So that's really strange to go back east towards Mobile.
Exactly. Missouri, you would think, St. Louis, that was like the gateway to the west. Maybe they got there and they were just like, nah, we're just going to take a hard left turn straight down. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not about to walk across the prairie. Fuck that.
Yeah. That's something I've never really thought about, especially at the time. Like, why do they choose to go straight down as opposed to
the Mississippi is probably way easier to travel than
for sure
all those other rivers
back then. Yeah, right, I would think so.
This is one we don't get to ask very often. We usually skip this one. But what is the weirdest rule what was the weirdest rule in your house growing up?
Ooh, my parents were really weirdly selective about like what TV shows we like. They had no problems with like Billy and Mandy's Grim Adventures or SpongeBob.
Yeah.
But like Fairly Odd Parents, they didn't let me watch.
It's interesting.
And Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like it was just like weirdly like it's just weird the ones that they chose to allow us to watch and the ones they didn't. It's so arbitrary almost. Like,
yeah. I'd be really interested to hear a conversation with them, like why they chose certain cartoons
like
over
which
others.
I mean, and it might have just been they were sitting in the room on a particular episode that had some one line they didn't like or something. I think the Fairly Odd Parents one, they used to say they portrayed the parents as so dumb that they thought that we would think our parents were as dumb as those parents were. So, which that's such like an insecure way of thinking. But whatever. I think that was the reason that they gave us.
Maybe they had
other weird. My mom used to like when we were kids. She would just like line us up at night and just like give us Benadryl. Like to put us, like, I mean, we would line up like little birds, just open our mouths, just pour a spoonful of Benadryl in our mouths. And I think like that was, I never thought anything of it, but then I bring that up to my friends or my aunts or uncles every now and then. And they're like, Alice kind of drugs her kids to go to sleep.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a rule, but more of like a sweet ritual before bed.
Yeah, really. It probably gave me a nice little buzz or something.
Take the drugs, dude.
Do you have problems sleeping now?
Not really, no. So maybe it worked.
Maybe.
Okay,
this will be the last family question here. What's the biggest secret that you've ever kept from your parents?
Ooh. It's a good question. I mean, the typical things like hiding, like, alcohol or nicotine or weed from your parents.
Yeah. You ever get caught with any of those?
Or porn, right? I wasn't as successful at that. Maybe I did help cover for my little sister. Like she had like a vape.
Yeah.
And I covered for her with that.
What'd you say?
I can't think other than like things, I was pretty open with my parents about everything outside of that. And I guess maybe sex, like I wasn't going to go tell them that I had just had sex with a person, outside of that. Yeah.
It was a girl.
It was a girl. Clarify. Yes.
It was a person this time. I swear.
It was a person this time. Yeah. But just the normal stuff.
What did you do to help cover your sister with her vape? Like tell them you're steaming vegetables?
They're like, she'd be like, oh, I left it in my car and they're about to go clean out my car or they're about to use my car. Can you go grab it real quick? Like different shit like that.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sean, our final category are kind of miscellaneous personal questions. So what is something that you are an absolute huge fan of? It can be a sport, a team, a movie, an anime. Like what is something that you are a diehard fan of?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a huge football fan, college and pro. I went to Auburn, so that, I grew up in Alabama as a fan of the school. So definitely diehard in that. That's something I feel like a lot of people in the South, you guys over in Arkansas can probably resonate with that. Let's see. Also, different specific movies. Like I used to, when I was teaching, I taught film studies, which was basically just me showing my favorite movies. It's one of those things where I'd watch the movie so many times where the specific movies I've seen now like 30, 40 times. And there's something about like seeing it that many times that makes you appreciate it on an almost deeper level than other movies. So I would say Truman Show, Shawshank Redemption, and Arrival. Those were three movies that I always would show them. And like I've seen so many times that I feel like I'm just such a huge fan of those films. But there's also tons of other ones that I love as well.
I actually just showed my fiance The Truman Show for the first time like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a classic. I love watching it with someone that's never seen it.
Yeah.
But every time I watch it, I mean, I just like have a different takeaway or a slightly different one, or I notice something different, which that's cliche. That's with any movie you watch on a repeat viewing. But, that's me and my buddy. I brought up Shawshank because me and my buddy, we'll quote it just all the time. Like, we're so autistic about it. We'll just, snap into it. So, but Auburn football, die hard.
Nice. Okay. What would you say your guilty pleasure is? Like something that's not really good for you, but you love anyway.
Well, I pushed back on the not really good for me because I was going to say there's a lot of, like, I have a girl pop playlist that I'll listen to that is one of those things where it's like, a few hundred songs of girlier music.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah.
That I typically wouldn't let my friends hear me listening to, but every now and then I'll listen to that.
Hey, it's pop for a reason. Like, some of them are bangers. Right.
It's exactly like Clairo. I don't know if you know that artist. Big Clairo fan.
Okay.
Even though
Clairo,
definitely more teenage 20-year-old girl kind of vibes or whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, it's pop for a reason. There's some modes where I'm like, I could listen to some. Another band called Men I Trust is a girl group or whatever. I love them. I would say that's my guilty pleasure.
That's a good answer.
That is a good answer.
I love eating Slim Jims too.
Snapping into them.
What is the pettiest thing you've ever done to get revenge on someone?
God, that's terrible. I try not to do things out of spite, but I'm sure. Let me think. Maybe playing basketball, I've let my emotions get the best of me, and maybe have given a hard foul when I shouldn't have. Like, you're reciprocating. But that's such a boring answer. I'm trying to think if there's anything like
an example from my life. In high school, there was a guy that we got into it, and I took dough and heat piss, and I poured it all in the intake of his air conditioner of his truck in the summertime, and because I had it in the freezer, and so I took it out and thawed it out and put it in there, and so every time he would crank his AC, he could never get dough piss smell out of his truck. It like ruined his fucking truck.
That's wild. Okay, yeah, that I don't think I've ever. That might be pettier than anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty petty.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's probably got to be something that I've done that's really petty that's missing me at the moment. What about you, Seth?
I can't really think of anything. I'm like going through. I've done some like terrible things. I guess there was.
Oh, you can also put fish in somebody's hubcaps. If they have the old school hubcaps, put a fish in there, and then it'll just have rotten fish smell, and they'll never find it. They're like, what the fuck is that?
Oh, that's diabolical.
I used to have a roommate that would steal my weed, and I put a note in there that said, "Stop stealing my weed, you fat bitch." And like it was just real bad in the house after that. I moved my weed to another location, but like I just feel like it was kind of. It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. That wasn't even spite. It wasn't like revenge. It was just like stop,
Yeah, I think I've had some situations. Like I was thinking, that reminded me, like in school, like in high school, there was a kid that, like, he would every single day ask me to help him out with the homework, like, send him the answers. And it was, every now and then, like if you do that every now and then, I'm like, whatever, sure. But it was one of those things that was like literally every day. And so there was, like a certain point where I ended up just giving him a bunch of wrong answers on one of the assignments, and then he was like, that was pretty petty. And then he ended up going to somebody else. But again, that's like I think a pretty classic,
right?
That's self-preservation,
and it's all you're just getting somebody off your back. That's not it's petty, but it's like justified.
Yeah,
petty.
you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So
putting piss in somebody's air conditioner is a little far.
Yeah, that's even if it's deserved, that's just a level of like, fuck you. Yeah, like
ruined his Toyota Tundra.
I had to mature a lot when I got out of Girton.
At least you were smart about it,
And our final personal question for you today, Sean, is what is your most irrational fear?
Oh, I have a lot of them. There's one that I have, like home invasions always, like just like I have to make sure the front and back door are locked at all times whenever I'm there. That's definitely one. And like the idea that, I don't know, a lot of times when I'm pooping, my foot will fall asleep or my leg will fall asleep, especially if I'm, in there for a while. And like the idea that it'll happen when that, cause like I've had some sessions where, I can't even fucking stand up.
Yeah.
Like it takes me like 3 minutes to wiggle my legs to where I can walk. I'm always afraid the home invasion's going to happen
right there.
When my leg's asleep as I'm on the toilet.
Hold on, let me wipe.
Yeah, for real.
Gotta turn
like, and then give me a few minutes to raise my feet up a little bit so I can walk, and then we'll have a battle. Yeah.
Sean, what is your social media handle so any of our listeners can follow?
It's Sean SEAN.GRFFN on Instagram. So I took out the I's on Griffin. Sean Griffin.
Nice.
There's a surprising amount of Sean Griffins out there.
Yeah.
And if you just go on Instagram, one time on Instagram, I had a page. It was my fellow Sean Griffins. And one guy named Sean Griffin had just added like 40 Sean Griffin into a big group.
That's great.
He might be a funnier Sean Griffin than I am, honestly. But, there are a surprising amount of them. So that was the best Instagram handle I could have without like a bunch of numbers at the end or whatever. So
right.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us today.
Of course, this is awesome. Yeah.
We really look forward to seeing you at the roast battle, which is going to be June 27th at 8 p.m. at Birdie's Cabaret and Theater. It is our first show at Birdie. So we've been doing it at a place called The Joint, and they just sold The Joint and Birdie's bought it. So it's at the same place. So anybody that's been to the roast battle before and watches this podcast, the show is happening at the same place, but it is now Birdie's.
And it's now on Friday night.
Absolutely. It is on Friday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to see you compete.
Yeah.
For our roast battle.
I'm looking forward to it too. Roast shows are always awesome, and it's going to be a great time.
All right. Well, thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean. It's so nice to meet you, man. We'll see you.
Bair, Seth, great to meet y'all, and I'll see y'all later.
Later, y'all.
Peace. Dreaming of growing your business in a vibrant location? Welcome to Conway, Arkansas, where opportunity thrives. Nabholz Properties has the perfect space waiting for you. Spacious, versatile, and ready for your vision. Whether your dream is opening a dry cleaner or a comedy club packed with laughs, or even an MMA gym. Whatever your dream, this space can make it a reality. With Nabholz Properties, you'll knock out the competition and maybe even choke out a deal. Lease your future in Conway today with Nabholz Properties, where your business belongs.
Running a business is hard in many ways, especially when it comes to tech. Not only do you have to maintain your business, but you've also got to maintain a network for you and your clients, keeping yourselves and your customers connected to the world. And who knows who can hack into your information, accessing sensitive files? And what do these wires even do? You don't have to do this alone. Call the experts at Professional Computer Services Incorporated. They've got master technicians that can help you navigate the wild world of networking. They can set up security against cyber attacks. And they'll be there to tell you that it's actually not a networking issue. We're being attacked by a foreign entity, and it's the end of the world. Time to bug out. IT doesn't have to be scary. Call Professional Computer Services Incorporated.